Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings to the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turn now to a little poem, Halcyon Days, poem number 19 of the 58 of Sands at 70. I love this little poem. It obviously will have some referencing to Greek mythology, and I think Whitman was acutely aware of why he was making that observation. The calm days as opposed to the crazy days, we might say. Now, our hope is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt, our playlist. You've worked with us from inscriptions on. We gave a set of introductory comments to Sands at 70 that I'm hopeful that as well you've looked at. And then we just saw May's Shower Selected. Now our Nortons will tell us here that this poem was first published in the New York Herald, again, so many of these poems being published in the Herald, of January 29th, 1888. Now Halcyon itself, Whitman was a bird watcher and a naturalist, probably knew the Greek fable of Halcyon, a mythical kingfisher nested at sea and calmed the waves of the winter solstice, and obviously the significance of kingfisher as it relates to a great writer like T.S. Eliot. We commented at full length on at learnstrong.net when we messed around with Wasteland and other poems of Eliot's. Let's just enjoy the poem. You'll remember Halcyon from a time in the from your earlier studies of a time in the past, idyllically happy, peaceful. Okay. But Halcyon itself only gets used the one time in this poem, in the title and then in the last line. Not from successful love alone, nor wealth, nor honored middle age, nor victories of politics or war, but as life wanes and all the turbulent passions calm, as gorgeous, vapory, silent hues cover the evening sky, as softness, fullness, rest suffuse the frame, like fresher, balmier air, as the days take on a mellower light, and the apple at last hangs really finished and indolent ripe on the tree. Then, for the teeming, quietest, happiest days of all, the brooding and blissful halcyon days. Now, I think there's actually a lot more going on here than at first glance. Notice the construction of not, right back to the very first poem of Leaves of Grass, Oneself I Sing, where that construction and the use of the word not is there. From successful love alone, right? Nor wealth, nor honored middle age. Obviously, all of that. Whitman has not had wealth, for example. Nor victories or politics or war. All of these things, obviously, a part of a well-lived life. But it is about as life wanes. So notice if the poem above it, that is to say May, was spring, now we're getting to autumn, right? But as life wanes, only use of that word in all Leaves of Grass is here. And all the turbulent passions calm. You'll remember turbulent from Song of Myself 24, go back and look at it there. And then you've got as, and then. Watch that construction. As gorgeous, vapory, silent hues cover the evening sky. By the way, note your threes. As softness, fullness, rest suffuses the frame. Again, you got the three. Suffuses the frame. It's almost like a picture, right? Like fresher, balmier air. As the days take on a mellower, earlier in the previous poem, Out of May shows it was the yellow golden. Here it's mellower light. And the apple, we're back to the apple of Out of May show selected, only now, at last, hangs really finished and indolent ripe on the tree. In other words, it's just like ready to drop. In other words, the end of life. Then, for the teeming quietists, teeming you'll remember from Eidolons, happiest days of all. It's interesting he would say it this way. But then after happiness, he says, the brooding and blissful halcyon days. Of course, blissful will take us to Mystic Trumpeter 5, and I think there's a whole lot of that going on in this poem. But I want to concentrate on the word brooding. This idea of brooding, concern, a little bit of concern, anxiety. I think there's actually quite a bit of that in Sands at 70, and then as well in the final annex as well. But it's like these poems are almost written to help Whitman move beyond the anxieties, the brooding that he is feeling. At 2A, what are we going to say about this poem? Well, I think after a long, hard life, well lived, it is hopeful for the halcyon days. You remember that Donne says in Valediction Forbidding Morning, as virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, right? At 2B, notice the as then construction. I love that he's playing games like that. At 3A, I mentioned Donne's Valediction, but really the Mystic Trumpeter. Go back into our study there and then read this poem again. It's a wonderful companion read. Finally at 3B, how are you going to own a poem like this? Do you look forward to, in old age, your halcyon days? They're calming, relaxing days. Or are you more inclined to think that's really not the way Whitman feels? He's probably not being completely honest when he says these are the, or maybe he's hopeful that that's what's going to happen, and maybe it's not going to end up that way. We're going to read these poems as we finish Leaves of Grass to hear that sometimes it isn't so halcyon at all. Thank you.